gentlemen, this is a gathering of friends. How exciting. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name's Frances Anderton. I've spent many years living in LA, covering design and architecture and current affairs, primarily at KCRW for many years, and now through various avenues, including writing a lot about housing. In the process of the kind of work I do, I came across Chris Torres, who in this space has not come across Chris Torres. Anybody here who... Okay, Chris Torres, as well as the other three people sitting here, are among the most energetic movers and shakers in Los Angeles. And right now, I think you'll all agree, LA needs some movers and shakers. Because right now, you've got a smile on my face. We're standing in this absolutely incredible location with the inspiring landmarks of what makes LA so great. But right now, we are, as we all know, we're facing a few challenges. We've obviously come off of the fires. So sorry, anybody who's been impacted by those two catastrophes. And of course, even before that, we were looking at all sorts of problems we needed to fix. Housing, we have budgetary challenges. The list has been sort of shockingly long. And then, of course, there's a lot of, let's just call it turbulence in the current administration. So with all of that said, we also know that we have a massive World Cup next year, and we have the Olympic and Paralympic Games coming in 2028. And how are we, the city and the county and the region, going to put on the best possible show? And who is thinking about it? And can we in some way leave a long-term legacy that actually benefits Angelinos, benefits our civic realm? And that's what we're primarily going to be talking about today. And the instigator of our presence here today is Christopher Torres, principal landscape architect. Since you all know him, I don't need to tell you who he is, but he is, for the two that don't, he's a landscape architect. He has his own company agency, Artifact. He's also involved with a very interesting development city-making company called Somos. The list goes on. He's been on the South LA Planning Commission. In a moment, you're going to hear from Chris all about this. And joining us, we have the Powerhouse Trio sitting right here. Immediately to my left, we have a Dodgers fan.
Go Dodgers, let's forget last night.
Supervisor Lindsey Horvath, so pleased to be reconnected. First met Lindsey when she was the longest-serving mayor of the city of West Hollywood. She is now one of our county supervisors serving the 3rd district. Interestingly, she's the only renter on the board, which is currently, by the way, an all-woman board. And we will hear much more about Lindsey momentarily. Next to Lindsey, my good friend, Prophet Walker. I know it's corny. He doesn't like people saying it, but his name befits him. Prophet Walker is a visionary thinker in housing. I got to know him through his work running a co-living company, Treehouse, that he is the founder and CEO of, launched in 2016 with a fellow investor and believer, Joe Green. He's now very active in Leimert Park, where he runs community labs and a place-based development company. And he'll tell us more about what that all means in a moment. And then Nithya Raman, LA City Council member. Okay, so lots of people here know Nithya, representing District 4, urban planner, came to City Council after serving several years as the co-chair of the Silver Lake Neighborhood Council Homelessness Committee, many other credits and accolades, and we can get into that in a moment. But now it's time to turn to you all, and we're going to start with Chris. What is this? Why did you make it? Why did you get all these people here?
Awesome. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for everyone for coming out and your interest in what we're building here. This is really the launch of the Festival Trail, which is a project that I've been fortunate to work on for about 2 years now. with my co-founders, Hillary Norton and Eli Littman, really thinking, let's give him a round of applause. Yeah, thank you. And so the project is, as Frances just mentioned, we have mega events coming to Los Angeles, many large events happening in the next few years, and really trying to think about what is the community grassroots response to major investments coming to the region. And so how do we focus these events on community, not just on global spectacle? And so a lot of the work that we've been doing is really thinking about what is the kind of organization that needs to be lifted up in partnership with folks that are already doing work in communities across Los Angeles to be able to receive the energy from everyday Angelenos and major institutions to create lasting legacy projects. So two of the organizations I want to directly thank as partners is LA Commons. We have Karen Mack in attendance here. They had their 25th anniversary. I'm on the board now, so I gotta rep them. I think it's in my bio. And then also Lonnie, Los Angeles Neighborhood Initiative, is another key part of this project. And so the idea is, what is a visionary but doable plan? We don't have a tremendous amount of time. There's a lot of pressure right now. There's a lot of pressure on resources, and being able to say, what is something big that we could start now that really sets us up for a Los Angeles that we want to see come? So just to set the table, some facts: we're less than 1,000 days away from the opening ceremony of the games. There's going to be about 15 million tickets sold. That's a lot of people. It's the equivalent of 7 Super Bowls every single day for 6 weeks happening in Los Angeles. It's going to create $18 billion of economic activity, and it's going to require 50,000 volunteers to pull it off. And so the big question is, who benefits from all that investment? And how do we actually get those dollars to reach our communities, tackle the challenges we know we have now and that we'll have into the future? And so just to kind of also set the landscape, there's many organizations and players that have huge roles in pulling off this event. You have LA 2028 that's literally putting on this global sporting event, the Olympics. You have Metro that has a key role in delivering a transit-first games, really providing access to venue. And the gap that we felt is really missing is how do we create access to community? How do we actually get folks into our neighborhoods telling our stories? And that's really where the festival trail came alive. And I'm almost done. But I just want to make sure everyone knows what we're doing here. And so our job is really to think about, how do we create a narrative and a project to radically connect Los Angeles that celebrates our diversity as our superpower and really clearly says to the world that our joy is our defiance. We will not sit idle as folks are literally kidnapped off the streets. So how do you hold the posture and tension of having a city that is facing so many challenges, but at the same time has this opportunity for joy? It's really hard to kind of balance those two things, but that's the work ahead. So the project is ambitious, but also doable. The idea is, if we're using transportation to get to these venues, let's create celebrations and activations along those corridors that tell the story of Los Angeles. Let's create spectacle and celebration by creating hubs of culture in each neighborhood. So this structure, we'll talk a little bit more about it in a second, but this is the first prototype. You're here on day 1 of the prototype. And so the idea is prototypes like this could pop up along the whole corridor. I'll do all the thank yous after, but there's a lot of people that came together to make, I'm going to do it right now so I don't forget. Era designed this whole thing. Huge shout out to them. Estra donated this beautiful bench we're sitting on. Studio MMR created all the AR, VR work, if you haven't seen that. Did I miss anyone? No? If I did, just let me know. Okay, what's that? Oh, Urban Organics built this whole thing. We did it together. There's 1,800 zip ties we put on here. We got them, yeah. And so just rounding out. So the big idea is we have these transportation corridors across the city connecting venues to each other. So how do we create celebrations along those venues to tell the story of each neighborhood? But how do we do that in a way that those are not just parties, they're not just spectacles, but they're co-aligned with long-term visions of how we want to live and grow and thrive in Los Angeles. So the idea is, how do we plant seeds that could last forever? And how do we introduce the world to Los Angeles? And likewise, introduce Los Angeles to the world. I'll stop right there.
But I guess still, just in terms of, again, understanding, you've just credited your team and they made the structure. So this is a prototype structure for what exactly? And you're calling it a hub, so people are clear. LA Metro's really going to be providing a lot of, I guess, the connectivity for the games, where it's meant to be a mobility-first games. And right now, they're embarking on a project of building what they're calling mobility hubs. So what is this hub? And also, does it key into a larger network? My understanding of your festival trail concept is that a structure like this would plug into a broader network which actually touches on the areas that our three speakers are going to address.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we don't see these as competitive projects, but additive efforts. And right. So, for example, in the Paris games, so Paris had the Olympics last in 2024. And so Paris is a city that is 40 square miles, right? The city of Los Angeles is 500 square miles. The county is 4,000 square miles. So we want Metro to build as many hubs as we can. We want the city to do as many celebrations as we can, but we know that even with those efforts, we won't reach every community. And if we don't actually chart corridors and trajectories for folks to reach those neighborhoods, they'll never know they're there. And they won't be able to participate culturally or economically in this event. Through the rate of life.
But still, what we're standing under, essentially, it's a shade structure.
Correct.
Is that the ultimate goal? And is this the idea that you're going into neighborhoods that maybe not touched by some dollars that are coming to provide shade in certain neighborhoods? That because LA Metro is building these hubs that are meant to provide shade. So this is a shade structure. What else is it?
Yeah, so the idea is this is a public stage. So this is really just a marker of saying this is where life happens in this community. So the idea is our job is to just really create a space that would be programmed by each neighborhood. So there'll be art, music, dance, celebration. There could be a big screen up where you could watch the games. Each of these panels could be taken on by a different artist, telling the story of that community. So it's really creating space in a city that has been so challenged with public space. We don't have a tremendous amount of public space here. So creating new opportunities for public space that could be temporary, but then could transition into new permanent spaces after the games.
Right. And what people are also starting to hear about is that there's going to be something called a fan zone. And there's some money that's going towards some fan zones. There's a particular designated number of them. Does this have anything to do with a fan zone?
Not necessarily, but the idea is it could easily. And I think that'd be, I'd love to hear more from the panelists
and
how that happened.
Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah.
Go to the panelists.
Yeah.
Because what we're establishing here is what this is about. And it's about a grassroots up level effort to, I guess, add this whole kind of layer of connectivity and opportunity for the region that may be partly touched by what's coming down from the top. Is that right? So let us turn now to you three. Let me start with Nithya, because Nithya, I had the pleasure of talking to you a few months ago, actually, about Festival Trail. And tell us sort of why an effort like this appealed to you and how you see it fitting in with what you're hoping to accomplish.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, thank you, Frances, and thank you for your vision. It is really exciting to be here. These are wonderful panel to be on, so thank you all. And I just, So to me, so much of the discussion around the games has been symbolic of how Los Angeles is governed and the ways in which it's so fragmented. There is often not a center in LA, right? There is no center. We're in between multiple centers right now. And that is by design. That's how this city and this region has been structured and built from when all of these local government structures were put together. And so when I first started hearing about the festival trail, when I first started engaging with the group that has been involved in it, for me, it was a really useful way to think about centralizing activity and energy around something that felt fragmented, right? And that was exciting. And the fact that it came from community, that it has people who are already inspired by it, who are moving forward with it, that is like half the work already done for me as an elected representative. And it dovetailed nicely with a vision that I have for my district. I have something like 19 miles of the LA River, either one side or both sides in the district. And I've long worked towards, with my staff, Mehmet, who's here, and other members of my team, towards trying to unlock more of that river as an unbroken bike path that can run from the valley to the center of the city. And that's a vision that has really inspired me for a long time. And we've been doing that piece by piece through supporting applications for state and federal grants. Anytime there's a big development project in the district, we're like, okay, but what are you going to do with your interface with the river? How are you going to make that possible? Radford is undergoing an expansion right now. Okay, we're going to look at that. How are you going to make it possible for people to go through Radford, through the river portion that's within the studio? And so every time we're engaging with the river, we're trying to say, can we put pieces of this effort together? And now here comes this idea that allows me to hang the entire length of it right on it, and to talk about it in the context of this big, powerful event that's motivating people to look at LA differently, to reconnect with LA differently. And so it has a new power and is a new organizing tool that, for me as someone who is, yes, I'm an elected representative, but the way you move things forward is through momentum. And to me, this is a way to talk about that vision of this unbroken bike path, protected in the context of something that has a lot of momentum and vision for LA. So for me, it was just like, great, this is so exciting. How do we work on this together? How do I dovetail my vision of what that looks like with what you're dreaming of? How do we put these fan zones along the pathway? Are there overlaps with where they're going to be putting the games and different events? And there is squash is going to be at Universal. So we already see the connections between where they're putting different activations in the games and where the river flows in my district. And so these are potential opportunities to say, okay, can we invest in this? And then can we invite people into it? And then can we celebrate LA in the process? And so to me, it just feels like an incredible opportunity that I couldn't step away from.
And it is an incredible opportunity. And it's also so interesting that this momentum is kind of coming from the grassroots. You are a city council member. Do you have discussions with your fellow members of council and the mayor about generating this kind of idea? Or is it has it fallen on the shoulders of people sort of slightly outside the official channels to kind of come up with the momentum?
Oh, that's interesting. Well, I will just be very honest with you that I feel like the challenges that we've had in Los Angeles over the past couple of years, I started in the middle of COVID, being a council member, pre-vaccine COVID, and then it was chaos, self-created chaos at City Hall with the tapes leaking and a crisis of trust with local government, and then the fires, and then the ICE raids, and then, I just feel like we've been moving from through a period where I feel like there has been less of an opportunity for leadership to, think about this kind of work. It has always felt like crisis management. And so I don't know that I'm looking to the public for doing this, but I'm certainly grateful for it. And I feel like I pride myself on being able to pick up something and run with it, And so to me, it's like, great, you did this, let's run together, So I don't know. I think I think a lot of things that we shouldn't be in a position where only top-down things work in LA, right? Like so much of what has come in LA.
Yeah, no, I think you're describing the story of LA.
Yeah.
How LA gets things done, but I wonder if this compared to prior Olympics even is calling even more on the grassroots. But let's move to Profit sitting here, and you're now so active in Leimert Park, where you already have Destination Crenshaw underway, sort of moving towards completion. You yourself have embarked on a number of ambitious projects in Leimert Park. And here you are too, in some way, seeing a connection with the Festival Trail sort of ambition and concept. So tell us how you see it fitting into your vision.
Yeah, thank you. So as a point of reference, I'm a developer. That's my background in the city, but my development lens has been skewed primarily in particular to community. How do we actually create urban environments that bring people together? I don't think community can actually be built through these sort of curated moments and sit at dinners, all the many we all go to. I'm not a big believer in that. I grew up in Watts, and I felt this interesting duality of a really tough living environment, but a palpably connected environment, one that relied on their neighbors, interacted with their neighbors. And I kept concluding throughout the course of my own real estate journey, what were these things that I really loved? I'd find myself going back to college. I'd find myself going back to something I should share. When I was 16, I was actually incarcerated, tried as an adult, spent 5.5 years incarcerated, and then recently pardoned by the governor. And even then, I would think about the connection and the community that I had there. And I was like, oh, how do we build spaces where human beings actually have serendipitous interaction, where they can find safety through constantly running into each other? All the folks on this panel, Lindsey and I, for the first time, just talked now, but we've always walked around one another. There's been serendipity. And so the second we spoke, it was we know one another, right? Like, that's how humans actually connect. And so what's really interesting about the Festival of Trails, particularly within my work in Leimert Park, my first development deals were co-living, build these sort of urban kibbutz or echo labs, if you will, to connect people, bring people back to the front porch. This iteration now has been beautiful in Leimert Park, which honestly I've just fallen into. Karen Mackey, who's one of the greats in Leimert Park, and so many other artists and builders and thinkers who have constantly said a couple things. One, how do we ensure Black legacy and space? You have 82, I think, neighborhoods here. Those neighborhoods are often indicative to what culture or way of moving. If you want a slower day, you can go to one side of town. If you want a faster paced day, you want to feel like you're in New York, you go to Echo Park. Like, there's these interesting, really nuanced cultures. And Leimert Park has been a hub for Black creativity, Black contribution to the city in a really, really beautiful way, while also merging in Japanese aesthetic and its connection there. And so it's been this beautiful thing to see all the community and locals and vendors there say, we want to be a part of this story. We are also Los Angeles. And when you look at the connection of the Metro that could be a hub or is a hub there, Metro has an unbelievable map of stations that are all near these really vibrant cultural moments. And if you actually get on the Metro and get off on any stop, there's like incredible culture there. Leimert Park is one of those. Destination Crenshaw was this first offering to Crenshaw to say, we are here. This is no longer in the minds and the hearts of people, but Black Los Angeles contributions are right here, and you can come visit it with regularity on Crenshaw, which is the brilliance of Council President Marquise and his team And Leimert Park has an undeniable amount of merchants and restaurateurs that are looking to build effectively resiliency hubs, spaces that people can come to, can patronize, see incredible craftsmanship that's taking place there. And so when I think about the Festival of Trails, we're 15 million people who are otherwise be disoriented. And in fact, no knock to West Hollywood, it's a beautiful place. But like, we'll naturally go to West Hollywood, Venice, Hollywood Boulevard, on and on, because that's what you know. But it's not until you sink into the depth and richness of Los Angeles do you see our culture. And I think the Festival of Trails effort, whether it's efficacies such as this, structures, or it's a robust hospitality plan, these fan zones really nestled in communities where the community itself is guiding, I think is vitally important. And Leimert, I'm inspired every day to serve, and I'll share more about details there later, but I get to serve alongside people like Karen and Ben Codwell and then these giants who have been building both the physical tapestry and the cultural tapestry at the same time.
Yes, and we should just note, you referred to Councilman Marquise Dawson, who actually pushed for Destination Crenshaw. That was very much a ground-up effort, because it was seen initially that the metro being overground rather than the subway was kind of a diss to the neighborhood. And the way to sort of turn it around, make lemons out of lemonade, was Destination Crenshaw. Now here we are with it almost finishing. It's very exciting. But again, just so I understand, or so everybody understands, how would what you've just laid out, how does it dovetail with this? Or is it more the network that this is part of that you're thinking of?
Both and. So I've become obsessed with AI broadly, as many people. And one of my late night AI attempts was, how do I create these translucent, non-obstructive, art-forward shade structures at scale, the size of a 10 block radius, to bring shade and disappear, but also bring surprise. And what's really fascinating is it came up with like various iterations of this. And so that's why I say both and. Like, I think there's multiple opportunities all throughout the city of Los Angeles. Leimert Park also. Leimert Park had the good fortune of being designed by the Olmsted brothers, the same folks that did the Central Park in New York. They did all the landscaping. So Leimert Park has a beautiful tapestry of trees on some blocks, but in its commercial corridors, it's actually not as such. And so I think shade structures, thoughtful event placement that can become permanent, that's exciting. The network to say, hey, once you're exhausted watching people run and you want good food, you want to know where to go, you want to jump on a bike and hang out, there might be an edifice that points you and places you to that space, but it also connects the whole city in a beautiful way. So that's why I care.
I love that we get exhausted watching someone run rather than the run themselves. But okay, super interesting. So what we're understanding is the Festival Trail is definitely partly a physical node on a network, and it's partly a physical network that is connecting projects already underway, like the bike path on the river. So over to you, Lindsey, in West Hollywood, which many of us hopefully will do Leimert Park and West Hollywood.
I actually think there's a lot of connection. And one thing we both experience, there's a lot of culture there, I will say. But both communities and neighborhoods, I think, experience sort of the pass-through thing that happens in Los Angeles, where people don't, I think, don't always acknowledge that it is a place in and of itself where really interesting, creative, meaningful connection is happening. And because it's, on someone's way from their home to their work or whatever their daily routes might be, you miss what is happening in these communities that are, bringing to life culture and creativity in ways nothing else does.
You were representing the city of West Hollywood. Now you're representing the county. The trail is aimed at the city, connecting a bunch of communities in the city. So Goes out of the city, goes out beyond the boundaries. Okay, so tell us about what you, in your capacity as supervisor at the county, can do, are doing to make something like this come to fruition.
Well, I think it's really about, there's the physical component. How are we physically connecting communities that are disconnected in daily experience? Communities that you might drive through, but if you were walking, you would have a totally different experience. So how do we prioritize biking and pedestrian activity and accessibility? Because we're not just talking about the Olympics, but also the Paralympic Games. And how do we welcome people of different abilities to experience our communities and culture in ways that are physically connected and meaningful, but also culturally connected? And I hope that these structures become places of surprise and interest and curiosity, that they are placemaking in not just a temporary sense, but really located in places that, long after the games have left, they continue to remain hubs of connection and creativity and belonging. And we might discover that alongside our global neighbors who come into our backyard. But I think we will also be able to tell that story. And I hope they become, more than anything, places of ownership locally. I think they are a grassroots movement, and I'm glad that they are a grassroots movement, because I think it would be totally lame if only the people at the top got to say, this is where people should gather during these events. So it's very, it doesn't feel like Los Angeles. And I think that sense of welcome and entry into all different aspects of what Los Angeles is and will become, I think will happen and hopefully at least be introduced in these places. So from a county perspective, we not only have seats on the Metro Board that you referenced, where we are thinking intentionally about transit corridors, the fan zones that we will create throughout a variety of communities. We're also thinking about arts and culture and what role we'll participate in the Cultural Olympiads that will happen. I brought forward a motion, 88 for 28, that brings together all of our 88 cities, the entire region, to support, while it is the city's bid and the city's lead, the city of Los Angeles, all of us have to come together to make this a success. And it is my desire to see us all support that effort, that it's not just sort of how it often gets talked about, Los Angeles is on the hook for this amount of money, and everybody goes into like anxiety and frustration and all kinds of things. What is the opportunity that this presents, especially from a community level, and what is the lasting legacy for all of the Angelenos who will take this moment to show the resilience of Los Angeles and all that we've been through, the strength and diversity of Los Angeles, the creativity of Los Angeles. I think we can all fall back in love with this region through this process if we take it to heart.
So yes, absolutely. And actually it sets up perfectly. I'd love to hear a bit, maybe Chris, you must answer this. You're not sort of going this alone with your festival trail group. You've got a team. One, you have a team of festival trail. Two, you have built up a network of groups. Three, there were already other groups that are already thinking creatively. And what's going on that's very interesting right now is that there's a kind of a consensus emerging that what LA Angelenos would like to see out of this, the third Olympics and Paralympics, of course, we would like to see something that is not only long-lasting, but also really does benefit the civic realm, public space, the means of getting around for walkers and cyclists. This is different from past Olympics. We're looking at different outcomes, and obviously housing. Ideally, you've also thought about seeing if housing can be factored into this. But let's just stick with this, just the public space, the right of ways. Can you in this space? I think we have a number of people representing organizations that are also thinking in this way. Is that right? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So our job is not to try to envision and execute a whole master plan in less than 1,000 days. Our job is to really identify where is their energy, where are their existing assets, where are their quick build projects that together I say together, I mean literally every single person here will need to pitch in and make this happen, and many already have, could build an ecosystem that's incredibly powerful. And that's really the story of Los Angeles. Los Angeles is a city of communities, of neighborhoods, and it's individuals that step up and make it happen. And there's many folks already doing that. So some groups I've already mentioned, like LA Commons, Wani, Shade LA, California Community Foundation. We're so happy to have them as our fiscal sponsor and really a kind of guidance through this process as we're now engaging with philanthropy and trying to understand how do we fund this. But ultimately, yes, public space, but more importantly, how do we create a pathway for building the next LA? That is the big challenge we have. And all of these challenges, these pressure points, these pain points that are only really seen in how acutely intense they are during the fires, during the ice raids, at these moments of instability, they really kind of unearth the bigger challenges of how do we build LA? How do we actually get things done here? How do we not just plan things? And in a way, kind of confuse the idea that process is the product, but actually the product is the city. And that's why we actually put our pencils down. We stopped writing our PDFs and we said, let's build something. And like literally, where's Raj? Raj and I were here putting 1,800 zip ties on this event, this structure here. And so I think the hardest challenge we have, it's actually us. We need to get out of our own way to make this city happen. And what I mean by that is we have this really unique opportunity where we have millions of folks coming to LA. We know we have investment coming. This is our chance to really think how we get jobs done, how we get the work done, right? So it is public space, but it's also process. And then it's building that ecosystem with folks that are already doing this work so that not only during the games, but long after the games, we build the city that we all want to see happen.
I also think too, it's the personal component. There's the physical build, I agree, but I think to Councilmember Raman's point of, the experience of COVID and that just like what feels like catastrophe after catastrophe, plus people being divided from one another and the impact of social media, there's so much that's been said in the name of connection from a digital space. This is a physical space that we can return to. What is that in-person experience of community that I think, especially over these last handful of years, has been intentionally providing us?
So you mentioned, yes, absolutely. And actually, just to the digital, one interesting element of this that I guess will be resolved later is this structure itself. If we just stop for a design and architecture moment, so you've got the physical structure, and if one looks on one's phone, you get an AR fabulous imaginary of art on the columns, and it's really fun. Now, I, as an older person, look at that and think I'd like the images to be on the columns themselves, beaming out at you as you walk down the street. I don't want them to get out a phone and look at it. But so tell us about that kind of thing. Chris, interestingly, you did work for a firm prior to your current firm, John Jurdy, and John Jurdy famously headed up the design and creation of a overlay for the city, colorful overlay, working with a graphic designer called Deborah Sussman. Everybody remembers it. And then it, poof, like a puff of air, it just evaporated after the games were over. There was no legacy, but everyone remembers the vividness of that overlay. Do you, just design-wise, anticipate a vivid visual?
Absolutely. Yeah. So as Frances mentioned, if you haven't done it yet, we were so lucky to work closely with Arup to create an AR VR experience, Arup and Studio MMR. So basically, you'll stand back here, download from your phone this QR code, and then you'll calibrate right at this little sign here, and it'll project artists from LA Commons catalog that created work all over the county. And so you'll be able to see an AR, VR experience of different art projected onto all the surfaces. That is one component. I think ultimately we do want to see every surface of these structures become art, become actual visual art. And so This is truly the prototype. We were so lucky there's a few key donors that really stepped up to make this happen. You have Yuval Bar Zimmer, Julia Meltzer, Marlene Grossman, literally said, we believe in this enough that we're going to help you build something. And so we were able to build this whole structure for under $40,000. That's not including all the soft costs that our firms donated. But if you were to buy something like this off the shelf, you would be minimum 120K, and that would include any labor installation. The design challenge was, how do you create something that is visually striking, has the ability for a digital component, and is at a cost point that we know we could scale throughout the whole county?
Got it. So in 5 minutes, we're going to throw it to you all for questions, and I know that there'll be some good ones. But just to the three of you, as you sit here, a bit participating in all of this, what do you want to share with the audience here about how they might get involved in backing something like this? Like, should it be writing checks? Should it be calling your offices and pushing for this kind of thing? Because I think a lot of people out there in LA are feeling right now, oh, are we doing anything for the Olympics? You know, there's sort of a feeling of not quite sure what's going on, you know? So what would you like to...
Okay, so I can talk about what I think is so exciting. So a lot of what my job is fielding complaints, right? It's a customer service job, right? That's what my job is. You don't call your city council office until you have a complaint.
That's something.
And so when I first got into the building, I was like, oh my God, everyone hates me and everyone hates LA, right? And the times when I have felt real senses of community, real senses of kinship, and a real sense of joy. I see joy on so many people's shirts here. When I felt joy, when I felt gratitude for the shared space that we're in, is when you put something out there that brings people together, or you're building some infrastructure, you're putting something into LA that changes how we're engaging with it, right? So for example, yesterday we opened up this new crosswalk at Franklin and Harvard, and it is the unicorn of LA interventions, because everything has, people who like it and people who don't like it. This is like people are screaming at me from across rooms, thanking me for this crosswalk. I've never had this happen before. I'm like, oh my God, I feel amazing. It's so different. But there's other things that we've done. We've done these concerts in Van Nuys Sherman Oaks Park, and we're doing them for the third year. Taylor Swift tomorrow afternoon, 3 to 5. Please join us.
She does.
No, Taylor Swift tribute, but everyone dances. But yes, Taylor Swift tribute tomorrow afternoon. It's so fun. You know, we did Stones versus Beatles. We did all these different things. The people come out, they dance, and that park has never been used in that way before. We've done pool parties at the Sherman Oaks Pool. We did a festival at Encino Park where we had a little stage set up in partnership with the neighborhood council, and parents and kids came and performed, and all of the parents sat in the audience and watched their kids perform, and then that park was activated in a way it wasn't before, right? And so I feel like what I want, and I can't ask for this until we put it out there, is that when we start talking about putting things out there, I would love for people to say yes. I would love for people to, whether it's in partnership with community, whether it is community leading it, whether it's city or county leading it, whatever it is, I want to hear people say yes, because then we can move towards it, and then we can lift it up, and we can build it, and we can invest in it. And I'm so excited about that. And any opportunity that I can get for that, I'll be so grateful.
Right.
I think to echo what Nithya is saying, one of the most important things anyone in the audience can do beyond the obvious, writing checks, volunteering, all those things, which are immensely important, I think everyone lives in one of these unique cultural hubs in Los Angeles. To underscore Lindsey's point, like, yes, West Hollywood has incredible culture. Venice, Pasadena, you pick, we all live in these beautiful cultural hubs. And believe it or not, there's incredible engines of change that are actually driving this, whether it's the LA Commons, whether it's, pick a organization. Little Tokyo Service Center comes to mind as a beautiful one. I forget the name of the organization that created Mercado La Paloma, but another really beautiful one. On and on in Hollywood and other places. So I think locally finding how to tap into those local cultural hubs. If you are running one of those cultural hubs, I would encourage you to actually find others, void of ego, find others to lock arms with. That's one of the most troubling or difficult things I've seen. Everyone has an idea that they believe has to be to the chagrin of someone else's idea. But the truth of the matter is Los Angeles is this unbelievably large tapestry. Our neighborhoods are these unbelievably large tapestries. And what makes them unique and exciting is actually this sort of artistic and creative flair of people throwing different spots at the canvas. And there's ways to see that as a unified whole. And so I'd say bring your curiosity to those meetings, connect with local doers that are trying to bring us together. And my last thought is, in Leimert, my team have talked about, like, if Leimert had a sister city, what would it be? Or a sister neighborhood, what would it be? And I'd be curious, like, for all the leaders here to think in that way too. Like, Leimert, literally, I'll walk through Leimert Park, I'll walk through the Crenshaw District, Baldwin Hills or otherwise, and I'll see all of the old Japanese design or all of the old landscapes that was once of a bygone era. Or I'll think about the connection to hip hop and its share in jazz and culture throughout the city. So I'd be curious, like, as feedback to other leaders, what's your sister city? What's your sister neighborhood? And how might you be able to magnify culture, just two cities together, without boiling the ocean? So that would be my recommendation.
It's Lindsey's point now, but what is the sister city of Leimert Park? I mean, what did you come up with? we all want to know.
I think there's this is Prophet speaking, not Leimert Park speaking. So let me be very clear with that. I think there are a couple incredible connections that could be sister cities. One is Little Tokyo, for so many obvious reasons, even down to its influence in jazz and what's happening in Japan still to this day, and that cultural connection, I think is just somewhat obvious at times. I think the reality of entertainment and hip hop and jazz and R&B and art, and that connection to many of our folks in the Palisades is really interesting as well. Like, I talked to a lot of folks who from Leimert Park went to Palisades High School or vice versa. And the different artists there is one, but that's quickly.
I thought you were going to tell us like a small town in Germany or something. You mean within
Los Angeles? I think we ought to reintroduce ourselves to our own city. Like, that feels really important to me. Like,
yes.
Los Angeles is the world. Like, that's the actual reality. We are the world. Like, I can literally go to any corner of this city, period, and find someone in a different part of the world, learn their story, learn their food, on and on, if you just slow down, to your point, and walk and get out and, like, actually walk around. So I think we should, none of this should be only for the Olympic Games. Like, I keep hearing that it should only for itself. How do we reintroduce ourselves to artists? And let the artists animate that, let the civic leaders actually provide the platform, let the philanthropists provide the money, while the community actually begins to lock arms.
Yeah, we could put together a team for every country for the World Cup from within LA. Yes. Lindsey, over to you. What would you tell the audience that wants to see this kind of concept, really come to fruition?
I would say go to Destination Crenshaw and check it out if you haven't already. Make it your business to go see other communities that are right in your own neighborhood that maybe you don't make the time to go check out. I would say think about what it is you're willing to invest to make Los Angeles the place that you want to be. I think there are, I have a similar experience as a council member. We often hear what people are frustrated by, and I think a lot of the headlines focus around that. And, so our zeitgeist through all of this media becomes like everything that's terrible with Los Angeles. And we have a whole set of things that we have to contend with, writ large, that I do not deny. But if we only live in what is wrong or what is hard about our experience, we're missing the opportunity to connect with each other and offer the best of ourselves to make it the Los Angeles that we want it to be. And I think there are so many people who want to create spaces, who want to create a sense of belonging, who want to show what they love about Los Angeles in a way that their heart is just on fire about. And I think that we have to really tap into that. And so whatever it is that if you want to show up with money, sure, there will be plenty of places for it to be invested. But I think what people really want to know is what is it about me and who I am and what part of the community I offer that what will I be able to connect with in a space like this, in a community where I live, or a community that's a different, in a different part of the Los Angeles County region. But I'll discover something new and have it be, the place that you envision it to be, instead of sort of, focusing on how difficult it is to get everywhere. Metro's going to try and help with that. But if you get out of your cars and you bike with people, you'll enjoy the journey a lot more. You'll see things in a way that you've never seen them. If you walk, whatever it is that you can do, so that way you have a different perspective about this place that we all call home.
Well, it was also beautifully put. I think we have a few minutes for some questions. There's a question from Aaron Paley, who most definitely
This will be a good one.
knows whereof you all.
Hello. Okay. Hi. Kudos, of course, to everything, and this is a great start. Thank you for being here, Prophet, Supervisor Horvath, and Councilmember Raman. So I think we need I've been very involved in public space, as people who might know me know. And what we need right now is leadership. We need a coalition of leadership to help bring all of these points together. Because right now, I'm in this space and I'm basically, people come to me and they say, what's going on? And I'm just trying to get these breadcrumbs of information. So SCAG is doing their thing of hubs. Metro is doing their thing. There's LA Rising. There's this climate initiative. Everybody keeps talking about this same thing, and there's like 10 different initiatives going on. The disjunction between them is really frustrating. So what we're trying to do, we're hoping that all of these are going to come together. But it would be great to see city and county, metro, all of the big players come together. Maybe a concierge for getting to yes. Right now, to get to yes in LA, county, city, whatever you want to call it, you probably have to go through 6 agencies to get the right permits, right? I remember doing a public event in Long Beach, and they said, well, we have a concierge who's going to take care of that for you. We need some kind of systems to make it easier so that Festival Trail can roll out and other initiatives and dovetail with all the other funding schedules. That's it.
I want to push back on that just a little bit. It's only because I think, and I share this as like a type A person that wants to like have it all and like have a very clear vision into how it all works. We heard from the leaders in Paris, and what happened with the Olympics was, there were things that were popping up all over the city that the city had nothing to do with. And there was same expression of frustration, even 6 months prior to the event. Nobody knows what all is going on here, and nobody can really tell the whole story. And I think what it's going to be, much to like my type A's like chagrin, is there are going to be all kinds of things that we learn about after the fact. So the best thing that we can do is connect with communities so we don't miss out in the moment. I don't think there's going to be any one person or that it falls at the feet of any one person. Like, you are the leader because everyone's coming to you. You are the leader. And if you need support, come to us. And I guess from my perspective, I want to help support you. But I can, like, if the community comes to me or to Nithya or to anyone who has a title, we are immediately constraining what's possible. I think the whole point of this is to democratize the experience. And so come to us with your idea, come to us with something that you want to create, and we'll support it, as opposed to expecting us to be the seed that from which everything has to grow.
Where's Aaron? Aaron, yeah. I mean, I know exactly what Aaron means. I mean, to those of us sort of watching all this on the outside and trying to understand what the festival chair is trying to accomplish, and then learning that there are all these department heads at the city, and then there's Paul Kokorian has been given a role, which is some kind of sort of Olympic czar, but what does that really mean? And yes, to the point of even sort of the permits, thank you for bringing up permits. Does a structure like this have to be permitted? And if so, is Chris going to have to jump through a gazillion hoops and then just sort of give up in frustration? So I suppose, and then of course there's LA 28, and they're of course we trying to get huge amounts of sponsorship dollars, and they're going to eventually hire somebody, a team or whatever, that's going to do branding and marketing for the game. So how does this tie into that? So I do understand exactly what Aaron's getting at, and thank you for articulating it so well. But anyway, do we have a sort of czar of the Olympics right now? Do we have someone that was sort of equivalent to Peter Uberroth in '84 that sort of, and yes, on the one hand is what's so great and glorious about LA, the energy that comes from the grassroots, and it has brought about so much. The expo line, we owe the expo line to grassroots, we owe bike lanes to grassroots, the list goes on. So it is a force, absolutely. But when we do look back at the prior games, there was a stronger, or what seems to have been, and looking back, a sort of stronger top-down leadership. And do we need that? And
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a lot of drums starting right behind me.
yeah, drum.
I agree 100%, Aaron. Supervisor, I also agree we need that energy to come from the bottom up. And I think basically, don't wait. And we have to start right now, today. That's why we're here. That's why we're launching this. That's why we've been killing ourselves to make this thing happen. Is we will move and create momentum together. We will, with the help of leaders that are visionary, that are sitting right here today, we will craft those visions and we will execute those visions. But these things actually have to happen in tandem. Literally, there's not enough time. So we have months. We're talking months to figure out what we're going to do here to be able to make this happen. I have to say, and I have to thank the Music Center for working with us, for offering us this space, for taking a chance. And I think it's those kind of partnerships, that's what we're really seeking. Like, as the things are moving, as city, county, LA 2020 are finalizing their plans, communities that have their plan. You need to have the people's games. You need to have your own vision of what you want to get out of this, and let's work together. So this is a open invitation to every single person here. Festival Trail wants to work with you. We want to be in your community. We want to work with your institution, and we want to do something incredible together.
You know it. Did you want to add something, Nithya? I mean, I guess the question is also in reverse. Like, you're saying Festival Trail wants to work with you, but alternative, the converse is sort of what Nithya laid out. Nithya's got a project, the bike lane, and she sees Festival Trail as somehow being useful. And I think just to reinforce like why that is, you did say it, you did, but just to reinforce that point, I think.
So the idea of having a vision for these games that is connected to every part of Los Angeles, that is connected to bringing community in, that is about art, that's about beauty, that's about joy, and having that as a vision that I can hook onto for my piece of it, the thing that I'm inspired by, the thing that I've been working on, that is really, like, I'm here now talking about, I'm telling you about this bike bike path that I dream of. And people can do that in every neighborhood. Like, they can talk about what is the thing that they want on their street corner that will be like a dance performance that takes over the old zoo in a really incredible way. What is the art project? Somebody talked to me the other day about putting an installation next to the reservoir of these huge sculptures. Can that hook onto this vision? And anything that you can kind of hook onto and get momentum by, like, that's what you need to, that's why people come to LA, because there's an energy here, you know? And I think in order for us, that's why we're brought to Los Angeles. There's a drive, there's a momentum here for creativity, for building things, for making things. And like, that's what this offers about the games, is that same momentum that the city offers to people who move here wanting to build their dreams here. Let's build our Olympic dreams and hook it on the festival trail. And that's really exciting to me.
And Nithya, what, 1 minute? Sorry? Oh, they're waiting for us. It's
Yes, that's about the damage.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Give us the social media contact. That's going to be the last word.
Festival Trail 2028. That's our Instagram. So meet us there.
Trail 28. Thank you so much. Chris, Prophet, Nithya, Lindsey.